Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Chaffee here on this Tuesday as we take a look at what's going on. And actually, temperatures are starting to warm up, rather quickly along the coast. We're already up into the low 30s across parts of the eastern half of Long Island. And it's interesting because West Hampton, which is now 34, last night they got down to 3 above. And in fact, I was down when I went to bed last night. It was 8 above here, and we're already back up to 30 or so. We're going to see warmer air gradually take over. So the question is, well, what do we get in the process of it on the way there? Do we get into some snow, sleet, and freezing rain? They have winter weather advisories up for the northwestern counties of New Jersey and through much of Pennsylvania, except it's the extreme south. But I just want to show you how weird this is. Okay, now for some reason, there are no winter weather advisories in this area in southern Pennsylvania. Okay, kind of makes sense not to have it in New Jersey, but at least for southeastern Pennsylvania, going all the way back to Harrisburg and Chambersburg, there's no winter weather advisory. But jump to the other side of the Maryland-Pennsylvania border, and this is because there's two different weather service offices that are doing this. There are winter weather advisories up for much of north central and northwestern Maryland. I don't understand, why there isn't at least some of this. If you're going to have it up here, why you don't have it up for this area? But again, it's two different weather offices, and sometimes they don't talk to each other very well. So anyway, let's take a look at what's happening with regards to the short range, and then I want to look at the longer range. So we'll first off, we'll put up the HRRR model for the rest of today and going into this evening. Now, one of the things that kind of struck me is the fact that the way the models have been setting up, I'm not so sure we're going to get very much out of this, because this first area, there's snow on the radar this morning across Pennsylvania. That's forecast to fall apart. Then there's kind of this little burst that moves through North Jersey and through southeastern New York, but it's like sort of a yawn to me. And then when that main area of precipitation gets here, and this is around 1 or 2 a.m., there's some pockets that are indicated well west and north that will probably have some icing. But I think by the time we get to about 1 or 2 a.m., most of the area is going to be above 32, and it'll be raining. And that's what the HRRR is showing, the NAM model showing that, the GFS is showing that. All the models kind of show that. So I just wonder whether the advisory for up to a couple of inches of snow and 1/10 of an inch of ice is a little overstated based on what's being indicated here. And in fact, it may even be more than just slightly overstated. It may be grossly overstated in some instances. But, we'll see how it plays out for this afternoon. Now, I want to just show you a couple of things going forward. Let me see if the new one is in. I hope it is. Sometimes it takes a long time for these teleconnection CDC and NOAA to update this graphic. This is based on yesterday's, but from what I've seen on the weather models overnight and today, this kind of makes sense. One of the things that's happening early next week, much like this past weekend, where we had the NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation, that tells us how much blocking there is in the atmosphere, going from sharply negative, in other words, a lot of blocking, to slightly positive, which is on the way to very little blocking. I think that was the reason why the weekend weather system wound up coming in further northwest, because if there was a lot of blocking, it would have gone way south and east. But as that blocking disappeared, the natural tendency for things is to move more toward the west-northwest, and therefore that whole system kind of tilted more toward the coastline. We have the situation in reverse for this weekend, in that we have the NAO, which is right now strongly positive, which means no blocking at all, crashing to neutral and going negative, or slightly negative at least, into early next week. Again, this was based on yesterday's. I don't have, unfortunately, they don't always update this in a big hurry today, so I think it's consistent with what I'm looking at. Now, let's see how this plays out. First off, we've got big snows going on for the most part today across Minnesota, parts of Iowa, Wisconsin, northernmost Michigan, as this deep low runs up through the western Great Lakes and heads up to the northeast. Now, in the wake of that, we are going to see not a lot of cold air coming. There's some cold air, but most of that gets pinned back west of the lakes for the time being. And in the meantime, we get rid of our weather system, and we're just going to see warmer temperatures, 50s on Wednesday and even some 60s possible on Thursday. But things that happens is, we've got this next cold front that's going to come through here, and each model run seems to bring it in a little faster. So it looks like it comes through here Thursday night and is already, to our south on Friday morning. This is a big high that's coming down. Now, I know there's been a lot of chatter in the long, people with the long range that's saying, we're going into a warm pattern, and they point to everything that's happening aloft, which says warm. Yeah, but you know what? People don't live aloft. People live near the ground. And the reflection of the warmer air aloft with the big ridge is causing a very big surface high to develop with very, very cold air. I mean, this is not, your typical air mass that's coming down from Canada. And this is a cold air mass. And I'll show you in terms of the 2-meter temperatures here. We're talking lows down, 20 to 30 below zero air that's covering a good portion of south central Canada that moves into the Dakotas with this big high that's coming in. And, this is going to be the pattern going forward. Let me just back it up. I mean, this is going to be a player here in the east, because some of that cold air does wedge in into the northeast for this weekend and into the very first part of next week, with the potential for some weather threats here. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're going to go back to the GFS. What's happening is, with this big high building in, cold air at the surface tends to want to drain down southeast of the Appalachians, and that's what the model is showing. And then there's a little bit of a wave, not much, but just enough that creates some overrunning. You can see ice over here in Ohio and Indiana. This is for Saturday afternoon. And by Saturday evening, there's snow across New Jersey, northeastern Pennsylvania to about New York City. And the high is just kind of wedged in here in upstate New York and off the New England coast. So you're getting overrunning into very cold air. It doesn't take very much, but that's how it happens. And, this could be, it's not going to be a big event, but I could certainly see it being a 2 to 4, 3 to 5 inch event for somebody. And into Sunday morning, the snow finally pulls out. I also think that the risk is that this could still wind up being further south. I think the areas that are shown to be, say, rain in southern New Jersey and ice in southeastern Pennsylvania, I think they may actually be a little bit colder in a situation like this. So this could be a little bit more of a widespread area of snow. And then that pulls out. And one of the things that we got to watch for now, if this NAO winds up crashing, last night's models took this low straight east across eastern Kentucky and across Virginia. It had a much colder look across New England with the high holding in. And it would have argued maybe for another chance Monday afternoon into Monday night of some snow and ice. The model's kind of backed away from that by trying to take a primary low into southern Michigan. So it might be saying that maybe the NAO is not crashing as quickly as it was shown to be on the overnight runs. But you know what? We'll see. This is early in the game. And then we only have out to the middle of next week. Now, I think once this goes by, we're going to be kind of in a thaw period for a little while. But one of the things I noticed in the longer term is a very blocky look developing. And I will show you this. And again, this is speculation. I don't put a lot of stock into it because of all the changes that it likes to happen from run to run. But as we look at the long term at the upper air, one of the things that's happening, and we're not going that far, this is in the day 12, day 13, you've got this big upper high that builds up in central Canada. So, that's displacing all these systems to the south. This is a very blocky look that's developing here. Higher pressures aloft to the north for displacing lower pressures to the south. And what will be key is, as a high builds up across Canada, is how much cold air gets generated. That's going to be very important as we look into the longer term. And you can see through the period here, as it goes to the end of the period, this is a very much a blocky look with this upper high right up here. I mean, just basically centered in south central Canada. And then you've got, again, all this really strong Pacific jet just sending one weather system in after another after another. Now, I'm just going to say from a purely speculative standpoint, that if this comes to fruition, it says to me that we could be going into a very active late January, first part of February type weather pattern. Now, what that means specifically at this point, I don't know, but it does suggest to me that there will be opportunities for some snow here along the way as we move into the latter part of January and through at least the first part of February. This blocky look is very important. So we'll see how it all plays out in the long term. All right, so we'll leave it there. Have a great day. Website, meteorologistjoechaffee.com. Subscribe to my weather app for New York, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, Hudson Valley, Eastern Pennsylvania. I'll put the link up here on the video. You can click on when the card comes up. And of course, if you've watched the video this long, I'm thinking you like being here, and I appreciate you all being here. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. It's free, and I put up at least one video a day. And when weather gets crazy, I may put up 2 or 3 videos a day. So have a great evening, great rest of your day, and a great night tonight. And we'll talk to you soon.